Erica Zernzach, which I wish I had a really cool last name like that, because that just leads to just wonderful things, especially nicknames. And so she's going to be giving a great talk here. I'm just going to advance this slide. To treating sports injury with traditional Chinese medicine, which we've never really talked about before. And I think there's so much interest in our community here, as well as even on television. A lot of professional athletes are utilizing it. There's more literature that's out there on it and its success with treating injured athletes. So Erica did her Bachelor of Science through Eastern Nutrition, Midwest College of Oriental Medicine. She mastered her science in Oriental Medicine at Midwest College of Oriental Medicine. She's a certified acupuncturist, a Reiki master, teacher, a conscious care practitioner, a Chinese body work with cupping and gua sha, if I'm not saying these correctly, I apologize, as well as tuna, right? So these are all different types of massaging techniques. So if everyone could put their hands together and help me warmly welcome Erica to the stage.
Let's make sure I got this on.
Yeah, so let's get you set. So here's the pointer. Oh, right here. So we're going to do that. And that should turn on.
Okay.
And then it can go anywhere. And this is the pointer. So if you need that, there's that little pointer.
And then just slides this way?
Yep, back and forth.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica Zernzach. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So traditional Chinese medicine. Wow, this is pretty big, you guys. So let's go down the rabbit hole together. I'm going to try to do this fast. I know that we have a break coming up. So yes, let's get started. So I have no disclosures. However, I will be talking about some herbal supplements. I don't endorse any brands, but these are just some of the ones that I like to use for my sports injury patients. Okay, so let's see. We're just gonna skip past that. So with sports injuries, what we're trying to do when it comes down to the basics of it is that we're trying to move the blood and the qi. So qi is energy in our body that basically keeps us alive, keeps us moving, keeps us working, keeps us just alive. So with Chinese medicine, we can treat all sorts of conditions, from common colds to body pains to hypertension, so all sorts of things. So with traditional Chinese medicine, there's 8 branches. We're only going to be talking about some of them highlighted. So we'll be talking about the herbal medicine, the acupuncture, the body work, which is cupping, gua sha, tui na, which is Chinese massage. Meditation, we're not going to talk about because we have a lovely speaker that's going to be talking about mindfulness. Exercise is part of one of the 8 branches, feng shui and I Ching. But we're not going to cover all of those. We're just going to stick to what's important for sports medicine. So just kind of going into the theories, I know this is a very different concept than what Western medicine is. So with qi, I kind of went into that. But with what we're trying to do with Chinese medicine is, to put it the most simplest way, is just balance the body. Simple as that. So there's energetic highways in the body called meridians. They go up and down throughout your entire body. Now this is where it can kind of get confusing. So the Chinese named it after organs. So if you're ever seeing a Chinese practitioner and they ever talk to you about your large intestine, your liver, your kidneys, your heart, your small intestines, there's nothing wrong with those organs. That's just the name of those meridians that we're trying to balance. So there's a couple different ways to balance that energy. Let's say someone comes in with a rotator cuff injury. So you could do points locally on the shoulder. But there's also a command point on the leg right here, and it's bilateral, and that point is called stomach 38. So what that means, it's the 38th point on the stomach channel. So then you think about that, it's kind of like if you think about the Tin Man, you know, when you're putting oil in it. So when you would be needling this point, you'd be stimulating this point and having the patient move that injury. That gets the blood and the qi moving. So there's two different approaches to treating things, like I said, locally or distally. So these energetic highways, these meridians, go up and down throughout your entire body. So that's how we place the needles. For instance, if we're trying to do something on this channel, we're trying to direct the energy out. So we would place the needle this way. Okay, so I would like to show you guys. So the needles that I use are one-time use needles. Some acupuncturists use reusable needles that they autoclave, but the needles are already so thin that they can break, and chance of infections, I don't even mess around with it. So they come in a little guide tube, and they're as thin as a piece of hair. So generally you won't feel them, but if there are blockages, sometimes it can kind of bite a little bit, but that's when communication with the patient and the practitioner comes in, and it can just be adjusted. Sometimes it will feel heavy, but it should never feel sharp. So that's always something that is important to communicate with a client or a patient. Let's see. Okay, so another type of acupuncture is auricular acupuncture, which is ear acupuncture. So I don't know if anyone's ever heard of reflexology. So with reflexology, they believe that there's a map of your body on your hands and your feet. But in acupuncture, we believe it's in your ear. So roughly, it's an upside down body. So your feet are on top of your ear, and your face is on the bottom of your ear. But there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of points on your ear. So this is a really neat technique, especially for sports injuries, because let's say they come in with a shoulder injury or sciatica or plantar fasciitis. You can find those points on the ear. And the neat thing about that is this is just another tool in the toolbox. I prefer to use ear seeds, and they just are little Band-Aids, little square Band-Aids that have little grape seeds on them. And the neat thing about that is the patient can leave them in their ears for up to 72 hours. They can press them, as long as they keep them dry and clean. They're basically a Band-Aid, so if they get dry, they will just peel off. I like the ear seeds because then the patient doesn't have to use a biohazard and worry about infections and things like that, but it's just another tool. And especially if they're training and things like that, it just extends their treatment longer. All right, so Tuina massage is translated, it sounds, all of these Chinese words sound so beautiful, but Tuina is translated into English as grasping and grabbing. So it's a very unique technique where it's very using manipulations to get the blood and the qi moving again to create balance in the body. Let's see. So cupping. So there's several different types of cupping. I'm sure a lot of you guys have used or have seen the marks left on from cupping. That's called stationary cupping. So what they do, they either use fire. So what you do is you take your hemostat, use a cotton ball with alcohol, light it on fire, go like this fast on the skin, and put it on there. What that creates is a vacuum, and it pulls out what they call the evils. You know, back in the olden days, they didn't have MRIs and X-rays and things like that. All they could go off is observation. So what this does is it pulls out the toxins. It gets the blood and qi moving. I like the fire cupping because I feel like I can manipulate it better. And I actually prefer, for my patients and my athletes, I prefer to do sliding cupping. So what I do is I do the fire cupping, and then I put massage lotion on there, and then I can move the blood and qi up and down. I like to do that because I want to get things moving. We don't want the pain to be stationary. We want to get things moving. And plus, a lot of us don't want those cupping bruises, and that eliminates it by doing the sliding. A neat thing about this is the colors. With the different techniques, with the Tuina, the cupping, and the gua sha, which I'll be explaining soon, the colors indicate so much to us. So if it's like a light pink, that means it's very acute. It's a new injury. But if it's a dark eggplant, it's been there for a long, long time, and we just got to get it moving. Generally, the bruises last just a couple days, but if the pain and it's more of a chronic issue, it can be a little bit longer, and you just have to give your patients a heads up that, yes, if you have a wedding or something formal coming up or going swimming, you might have some marks. So Mr. Phelps, he was a good indicator for cuffing for us. So gua sha, another word, it sounds so beautiful, but what it translates as scraping. So what we do is we use a little smooth, this is just a porcelain soup spoon, but you can use anything that's non-porous, easy to clean, just, so you're not, if you're doing needling, you don't want to transmit blood or infections. So something that's easy to clean, but basically what you're doing is a technique like this, and it just invigorates the blood in the chi. And this is a really good technique. I love using gua sha because it gets really into those knots. Those really, it just is easier. Like with the cupping, it's hard to get into those knots. But with this, you can really dig in there. And once again, the color indication is the same thing. So the lighter it is, the more acute it is, the darker it is, the more chronic it is. Look at her, she's happy. So in the 8 branches of traditional Chinese medicine, herbal medicine is the biggest branch of all of them. And what is so beautiful about traditional Chinese medicine is it's so complex, but it's so simplistic in the same way. For instance, if someone comes in with a cold, we're going to give them the parts of the herb that are the roots, the superficial part, because that is, when you get a cold, it's superficial still. But let's say someone comes in and they have degenerative discs or things like that. That's a deeper bone issue. So we would want to use herbs that are roots or minerals that are more grounding, because that's going to affect the energy in a deeper capacity. There's tons of different herbs, and there's lots of different ways to utilize them. You can have them internally or externally. For my athletes, my sports injuries, there's several go-to ones that I love. There's these pain plasters. They're kind of, I don't want to say, they're kind of like a natural icy hot. But what I like about them is you can cut them in patches. So if it's a fixed pain, you can put it right on the area, or you can cut the patches up and put them on. Let's say someone has sciatica. Sometimes that radiates and sometimes it's fixed. So with those pain patches, you can cut them and apply them in the way that they need to be applied. Liniments are another great one. One of my favorite ones is a tricky one. It's called Zhanggu Shui, and it's all red herbs. So going back to when you're dealing with bone issues, you want to use roots because it's deep. The energy is deep. So in this specific herbal formula, it's all red roots. So the problem with that is it stains your skin, so you have to be really careful about that. You have to be really careful, it stains your clothes and your furniture. So what I have my patients do is I have them take an old Tupperware that they're never gonna use again, dump out the liniment, the whole bottle, take a paper toweling, wring it in the paper toweling so you're not wasting it, and then applying it on the area. Let's say you have a meniscus tear or a rotator cuff or plantar fasciitis. You can put it on there and soak it on there, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night, and it's just another tool that we can use. So that specific liniment is actually, it translates as bone mending, so it's very powerful. Then there's essential oils, and that's kind of the same thing too, where it's, when we're dealing with things, are we going to do things from are they like an acute condition or a chronic condition? And that's kind of where we need to get down to the bottom line with. How we figure out what's going on and get to the root of the problem is we go through a whole bunch of nosy questions. But the way that people answer them defines how we're going to diagnose you. So I could have 10 people come in with back pain, and I'm going to treat them all completely different. So I ask them their body temperature. And the way that they answer it is so important. Let's say they say that they're hot. Well, are you hot in the morning, in the afternoon, at night? perspire easily in the morning, day, and night? Like where are you having headaches? Where are you having body pains? Because then I can figure out where those meridians are, and then I can attack and be aggressive and get the energy moving on those meridians. So we go through all the bodily systems. You know, do you have any chest issues, high blood pressure, abdominal issues? How's your appetite? Do you have cravings? Are you thirsty? What kind of drinks do you like? Do you like room temperature? Do you like cold? Urination, are you going to the bathroom at night? How are your bowel movements? Vision, floaters, night vision issues, hearing, and we go through it all. Sleep, reproductive, emotional, energy. And a cool part about Chinese medicine too is that we look at everything. So another important question is, especially dealing with sports injuries, and I know it sounds really weird, but let's say I have a patient and he or she is the youngest, and their parents weren't so good in health. So when their parents created that person, they might have came into this world with their constitution, their muscles might not be strong enough, their tendons might not be strong enough, or they might just have a constitution just to have injuries more. So that's really an important factor that a lot of us, like when we're treating like, okay, shoulder, we don't think, well, are you the youngest? Huh. So it's just putting all the puzzle pieces together to figure out what's going on. And okay, so I don't want to get you guys nervous, but I ask all those questions, but then I look at your tongue, and I can see what's going on in all of your tongues, what's going inside your bodies. So all those meridians correlate on different sections of your tongue. So I'm looking at color, coats, textures, movements, and that gives me a good plan of action. Then I feel your pulses. I can feel 6. I'm not feeling beats per minute, but I'm feeling meridians. So 6 in this wrist and 6 in this wrist. Once I have all those facts together, we can come up with a game plan. And like I said, I can treat 10 people with the same condition, but I'm going to treat them all individually. And because everyone's layers are going to be taken away at different speeds, depending on how long they've had the condition. So it's just very individual tailored. About essential oils, there's definitely essential oils that are for initial inflammation, pain, things like that. But with all of the things in traditional Chinese medicine, we're looking at, let's say you fell off the swing when you were 10 years old. That could cause injuries, in the present day and the future. So we're dealing with focusing on past, present, and preventative. So we need to tailor it for each person. But with essential oils, it's really important, cautionary tale, photosensitivity. So if you use citrus essential oils and you go in the sun running, yes, you will get burnt. I can tell you. But what's so good about traditional Chinese medicine and the oils and the supplements is we're doing it on all the acupuncture points have emotional components, and a lot of times when you have a trauma to the body, there is an emotional component. So it's important to definitely address that. Okay, I also wanted to show you guys this. So this is an herb. It's called mugwort. The technique is called moxibustion. So this is actually smoka moxa, or mugwort, the herb. So what we do is we light it on fire, and we place it over the points, but it really, because of the warmth, it gets things moving. In China, they would actually take the herb and put it on you, and it can burn you. With lawsuits in America, we can't do that. So there's ways to get around it. You can put like a ginger slice or sea salt on top of the area and then put the moxa on it and burn it. I just don't mess around with that. So I use the smokeless moxa, but it can kind of still smell pungent, and especially if you have patients with asthma or sensitivities to smells. I've kind of geared away from that, so now I use liquid moxa. So it's just the mugwort herb that you put on whatever areas you want. And then what I use is a TDP lamp. And the cool thing about the TDP lamp, I think everyone should have one at their house. It's fabulous. So these scientists figured out that the clay that these miners were working in, they were never getting sick in. And so they examined what this clay was made out of, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is healing properties. So what they did is they put the clay in the head of the heating lamp, and then it just moves the blood and the chi in a different way. But with a liquid moxa, you don't need to light it on fire because the heat is already penetrating into it, and it just really gets things flowing and moving. So yeah, so I hope no one has it. I'm sorry to do this right before lunch, but this one is really, really cool. The Yuan Paiyao is super cool. So one of my friends from acupuncture school was in a chair and just at a restaurant, moved up, cut off her middle finger. Slid off her, it was just a freak accident. She was lifted up the chair and so the doctors gave her a 5% chance of keeping her finger. It was disgusting, you guys. She came to my house and it was black. I'm like, oh. So what our professor had us do is take a lancet and the Yuan Paiyao powder. It should be in everyone's first aid kit. I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. So it's just a little vial of powder, and the inside of it is a little red tab for shock. So if you get an injury or an accident, you take that, it gets your blood pressure under control so you can relax and deal with the situation. Then you take the Yuan Paiyao powder, and you can it's just powder, you can put it on, or you can mix it with red wine, because it invigorates the blood and gets things moving in a different way. But Yuan Paiyao is an anti-everything, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-everything. It's amazing. You could see her skin fusing back together. So I always joke around, every time I see her, she gives me the finger. I'm like, how's your finger? That's not very nice. But the neat thing about Yuan Paiyao powder is you could take it internally. Let's say you're in an injury and you break a rib. Mix them in water and it helps fuse it back together. It's crazy, you guys. And then, like I said, the pain plasters, that's just an easy go-to. You just slap it on and go on with your day. So yes. What else can I tell you guys? I think that's it. Sorry guys, I know you have a break. I'm hurrying. Okay. So I think what really it comes back to is my biggest purpose in dealing with clients, patients, athletes is hope. And I'm a straight shooter. If I don't know if I can help you, I know one of you guys can help a patient. And I think that's, going back, that we're all here together as a team. So yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, you guys.